What we'd like to present to you today is that every school district has always been talking about a lot of the issues recently in the last few years. I think the big issue was MRSA. And if you were one of those schools that got closed down for a day or two and had to go through and do a massive amount of cleaning to reduce the exposures to your students and staff, you know what I'm talking about. But what we would like to tell you today is we're going to address the first issue that we think about when you talk about green cleaning. Worldwide, the issue is that, as you see here, 1 in 10 children, 1 in 12 adults, and it's estimated some 300 million in the United States alone suffer from the effects and ailments of asthma. And as a result of that, we'd like to tell you that appearance has always been the reason that most people clean, but the true reason that we clean is for health. The panel today is going to talk to you about how green cleaning affects the world in which we live in, but we're making this personal because health is something that is very important to each and every person. And while you may not think that cleaning has much to do with your health, this panel will show you that in their schools, using the instructional courses that we provide, they have been able to impact not only their students, their faculty, and their staff, but also the communities and the cities in which they live, work, and play in. So the first person I'd like to introduce to you is Rob Lewis. As you can see, he's with Crawford County R1 Schools. If you don't know where that's at, it's along I-44, about halfway between Rolla and St. Louis. So, Rob?
I'm Rob Lewis from Crawford County R1 Schools. I'm the head custodian there. We've been trying to go green for the last 4 or 5 years when Dave stopped by and asked me about it. And one day this year, Dave stopped by and asked if we would be willing to go up to attend a Green Cleaning Institute training program. I got with the superintendent and she said, well, you know, there's a little bit of money here that we got to fork out, you know, $1,000 for y'all to go up there. Well, I told her, you know, how much do you fork out for the teachers to go to their workshops and all this, you know. Excuse me. We don't have, you know, really a training place for us to go. And she said, well, we'll talk, and they figured out this would be beneficial to us, the community, the schools. So we went up there and did this class. I've been doing this for probably 17 years now. I went to a couple of workshops. They showed you how to clean, what to use to clean, and nobody really said, well, this is a healthy way to clean. When we got there to this training, I took 6 of my custodians with me, and they showed us, you know, the health. We're going to do this for the health reasons. The chemicals that we were using were getting into our bodies. We were breathing. We come out of the room just because the stripper was taking our breath and burning our eyes and our throats. And we did this during summer. We had summer school. So we did this, and when I get complaints, we'd have to quit doing what we were doing because the kids and the teachers were complaining because eyes were getting burned, you know, from breathing, and it was getting to be a big issue. So this year we tried something different. We went to the green cleaning stripping, which is we use no chemicals on our floors. And it really helped us out a lot to keep my people in the rooms, getting them rooms, really get them stripped real good, and get one person to do the whole room while the others could move on. And it kept down the air quality control in the rooms where you could breathe a lot easier, and we didn't have the chemicals to mess with. Another problem that we were having in years past too is when we used the stripper, my custodians would get on that floor and start sliding and slipping. Well, that cost us the workman's comp issue there, because I had to have some that fell and broke their arms. So we was also looking at that aspect of everything. And we do have teachers and kids that are asthmatic, So we try to keep the chemicals and all that down. So when we used this new method this year, we had no complaints. And when I come back to talk to the superintendent about the classes, and I told her that was really good, it changed our mindset and what we would have to do is go in at the beginning of this year and change the faculty's mindset on how we cleaned and what they could do to help us. So at the end of the day, we have a thing that's called the final five. The last 5 minutes of the day, the kids would pick up the big wads of paper or pencils and whatever, stack their chairs. So when my custodians came in, they could go ahead and start wiping down desks, and we use backpacks to vacuum all our rooms and our hallways. We don't use a dust mop, but we do it very rarely. It keeps the dust down. And we have found out that it sure helps us out a lot, and helps out the kids and the faculty. And we're getting real good. When the community comes in, they like the way our rooms are, and the teachers like the way the rooms are being cleaned now. And we don't have to worry about anybody be getting sick because of the chemicals that we are using. So the biggest thing is on this is that we had to change the mindset of everybody that was in our facilities, which I hope that we had done that this year. But without the education through the Green Clean Institute, we would not be able to change the mindset or change the way we were doing things. And thank you, and that's all I have.
Pat Thompson, the superintendent of schools of Crawford County, is not able to be here. She's at another meeting, but she did provide us a video of which we'd like to play for you so you can hear in her words how she feels this program was brought into place and maybe support some of what Rob has said from an administrative side. And she's not related to me, by the way.
I'm Patricia Thompson, Superintendent of Crawford County R1 School District in Bourbon. I have been with this district for 16 years. This is my second year as superintendent, and I spent 12 years previously as the elementary principal. In the past several years, there had been some concerns expressed, and this I know I kind of changed my mindset of how I view this. I used to think in terms completely of the appearance of my building as the elementary principal and now as a superintendent, and I've shifted that as a result of the certification process to be one that I think of it being more of a health-conscious framework, and that results in the appearance of the building, getting better. One of the things that became pretty clear was that in the field of education, we spend a lot of time, and we find it to be very beneficial for teachers, for administrators, for paraprofessionals to participate in professional development and having that ongoing exposure to the most current research and the best practices in teaching and learning. And yet when you step back and look at from the perspective just looking at the custodial department, that is an area that we have expectations, and we have walkthrough evaluations that we use, and so we have expectations of what the end result should be. But as we talked about it, we really didn't have anything on the front end of that would afford an opportunity for that professional growth and development and to really expand their knowledge base so that they have a framework of understanding not just these are the jobs that you do and this is what you're responsible for and this is how we were going to evaluate you, but in terms of going back to why do we expect the things we do and why is their job so fundamentally important to the health of everybody who enters the buildings. So one of the things that we talked about was making sure what we could do to provide that professional development for our custodial staff, and that's where the Green Clean Institute came in. And we felt that it was a priority for our school district to take a portion of funding and put it toward that training. And so we educated all of our custodial staff through the Green Clean Institute. And the result of that has been very positive. And we felt like, as we educated them in the healthy practices of green cleaning, we also wanted to provide the equipment that would go along with that so that they wouldn't just be learning about how important it is to reduce the amount of chemicals you use in a building, but also have the equipment to get that job done. We also purchased the Edge, which was a piece of equipment that the custodial staff found to be very beneficial. Not just in the labor-intensive part of preparing and waxing floors, but also in the risk management, if you will, of that portion of the job. The reduction, there's no fumes, there's no chemicals involved, and so we really had really good performance from that. At the beginning of the year, floors were ready, and we had done it all through a summer of not exposing our custodial staff to the chemicals too. And so what we found with this is, by expanding the knowledge base of our custodians, by getting everyone, and I'm talking teachers too, on board with doing their part with the final five that we do at the end of the day, we really have taken a more team approach to making sure that we have a healthy environment for our staff and our students. We were able to expand the knowledge base, as I said, of our custodians through professional development. And we've also made one of the things that I have felt for many years that I really wanted to get away from was the use of dust mops, because it just seems to push the dirt around the building. And we replaced those with backpack vacuums, and that has really made a considerable improvement in the cleanliness and the appearance and in the health of our school environment. Well, I think there's a lot of equipment that's out there, but you don't have to purchase it all at once. And so you have to kind of prioritize. You get started somewhere. And so in our situation, it was to start with, let's make that change and not use those chemicals in the summer. And so in terms of return on investment, I feel like that the piece of equipment that we use now to remove the wax and do things in a healthy manner for our employees also saves us that we are not buying those chemicals, the strippers and the things that we did buy before. So I do think return on investment, we will be recouping that upfront investment within a year or two.
All of the custodians at Crawford County Schools in Bourbon are certified technicians. And as you notice here, they now have a patch that they can wear, as you see the panelists are wearing. It gives them a little bit of respect and a little bit of pride. They are now educated people providing a healthy environment, as you've heard, at Crawford County Schools. The next presenter with us is Mike Jones. As you can see, Columbia Public Schools has been a two-time winner of a National Green Cleaning Award. About 4 years ago, I think Mike will tell you that they had never heard of green cleaning, didn't have an idea what it was. And what he will do is tell you how they've progressed. And Mike is a manager in our program, and I'll let him talk to you for a moment.
Thank you, Dave. My name is Mike Jones. I'm the Assistant Director of Custodial Services for Columbia Public Schools District. Excuse me. From Columbia, Missouri. I'm going to start out with just a little bit of a video right now from one of our principals of an elementary school.
My name is Angie Chandler. I'm a principal at Cedar Ridge Elementary in Columbia, Missouri. And I've been a principal at this building for 4 years and worked as an administrative assistant and assistant principal at a middle school school here in town the 4 years prior to that. I think we've had more people understand that it is safer what we're doing, and that it's cleaner for their child. And the atmosphere is clean. The smells are the odor that's associated with chemicals is not around. And a lot of people will complain, even adults, that those type of odors really bother them. So we had just as many adults in this building that didn't like odorous chemicals as much as the parents. So I think the parents appreciate the fact that we're working on that, and we're trying to find something that's good to the environment and good to our bodies. Because over time, we're experiencing in many different areas of life that things over time, you don't understand how it affects you until it's too late. Change is hard for anybody, and so at first you're thinking that anything that's going to upset their normal routine is going to go over not so well. But in this case, we got new trash cans and new trash can liners due to this too. They like the shape of the trash cans. The opening is wider for them, and the bags fit really well. They don't foof in when something messes up or it's too loose or anything. So the bags fit, and it's not the old metal trash cans that get rusty and can have a dangerous edge on them. They're all plastic, and so they really liked the change of the trash cans. They like the fact that we have the ion spray down there at the cafeteria. They appreciate that we're not putting harmful chemicals in the atmosphere. Getting used to not having sprays is something that, my secretary, she has a severe allergy to any kind of fragrances. So I think other people who suffer from that really appreciate that we're working on that.
Well, I'm going to just kind of talk a little bit about green cleaning and what we've done in our school district. Why go green? Under the Missouri Green Cleaning Guidelines and Specifications for Schools, DESE strongly encourages school districts to adopt the voluntary recommendations. Green creates a healthier environment, eliminating unnecessary traditional cleaning chemicals and floor finish with strong fragrances, harsh ingredients, and high MSDS ratings. Our previous conventional program, we had teachers that would not allow us to come into their classrooms to clean after school was out until they actually left the classroom because the fragrance of our previous cleaning chemicals affected their breathing. About a year after we started with our green cleaning chemicals, I had a custodian come up to me afterwards and thank me for us bringing our new green environmentally sensitive cleaning chemicals into the school district. She commented that on our prior cleaning chemicals, she had to go to the doctor about every 2 to 3 weeks to either get a shot or a pill because of the rashes of the harsher chemicals did to her body. She hadn't been since we started this program, with our green cleaning chemicals and everything, she hadn't been to the doctor in over 6 months, saving her money out of the pocket, and as well she just felt plain healthier. Green cleaning creates a shared environment. Since moving towards a green program, most of our teachers use students to stack chairs, pick up pencils, crayons, markers, and paper off the floor, and clear their tables and desks at the end of every school day. This allows our custodial staff to come into the room and perform more detailed cleaning and more frequent sanitization of our most touched surfaces. Finally, if nothing else, should be more important to preserve the environment for the future of all of the children we teach. And green benefits. Believe it or not, our district had 34 plus clean chemicals and floor care products approximately 4 years ago. We have reduced our inventory offered to staff of only 7 total cleaning chemicals, simplified our training, and have eliminated confusion of our custodial staff of what chemical to use when and where. We have found green cleaning products just to be as effective as conventional. And these products do not create health issues to our custodial staff, building occupants, and contribute to better indoor air quality. There are numerous green cleaning procedures and programs that reduce chemical consumption, saving budget dollars, less chemical dumped back into our environment, and reduce exposure into the air we breathe. Simple changes of using microfiber to dust surfaces or vacuum cleaners with HEPA filtration significantly reduce the effect of dust particles with allergens back into the air in the hallways of our classrooms. It has been very well documented that moving towards green products is cost neutral. In the worst case scenario, our district has saved over 15% of our operating budget and have allowed us to use these savings to purchase microfiber cleaning rags, new microfiber dust mop systems, new microfiber wet mop systems, and proper floor matting at our entrances of many of our buildings. The roadmap to green. Missouri Green Cleaning Guidelines and Information from Healthy Schools campaign, who I work with on a regular basis now, was the roadmap we used for our RFP to develop our bid process and to make our changes towards green cleaning products. Working with our green vendors such as GCI and New Systems and others helped us understand, develop, and initiate green cleaning procedures and programs through their expertise and training. One of the major keys to moving towards our program was to identify issues we were having either with old antiquated paper towel, tissue, and soap dispensers, cleaning supplies and equipment that were ineffective, and most of the chemicals we realized had material safety data ratings anywhere from a 1 to a 3. We are entering our 4th year of our green program and have made significant changes towards new cleaning chemicals, utilization of green floor finish, new paper towel, tissue, and soap dispensers using only green products, new green cleaning equipment or improved supplies that just better clean. And as I mentioned earlier, we are now putting in quality green floor matting at the entrance of all of our buildings to eliminate the dust and contaminants that enter our buildings, which also improve indoor air quality. Although we are very aggressive moving towards the green program, simple changes will improve your district's overall cleaning, create budget savings, and a healthier environment for all students, staff, and visitors. Change is tough. It's not really. You just have to commit. There are hundreds of school districts across the nation that have moved towards a green cleaning program and reaped the benefits. All of us here today would be happy to make any recommendations of how we can help, if you're not green right now, to help you understand and move towards green products. Thank you.
My name is Troy Hogg, and I'm the principal at Thomas Hart Benton Elementary School, Columbia, Missouri. This is my 4th year as the principal here at Benton. This year we became a STEM school, which is a science, technology, engineering, and math center school. And we're very interested in the green cleaning, not only from the perspective that it's better for the students, but also to expose our students to that field, that career, those opportunities that are out there in the future for them of being more aware and conscious of what's going on in the environment around them. There's so many chemicals and things that are being used today. How could a child not be allergic to some of those things? I think once you start eliminating some of those chemicals, you've eliminated the allergies that they had as well. And I think people understand the impact that a student's absence has on that child. But the absence of a teacher affects 30 children at one time. And there's a lot of research out there that will tell you that when teachers are absent, when they're not there teaching, that the students are suffering, their academic achievement is suffering tremendously. And so you need to have your adults here at all times. And I think the adults are more aware of what's going on with the green cleaning. It's just an awareness to them too, because previously teachers would always just pop up and start cleaning their own room and doing things. They would grab whatever they had there, whatever they brought from home, whatever they could find to clean their own tables and whatnot. But they're more cognizant of the fact that you can't just use anything in your classroom anymore, because it has an effect on the children who are in the classroom as well as other adults and other children in the building. I think people notice when things are dirty. People notice when things aren't healthy. But when they are healthy and they are clean, people don't make as many comments. comments because they don't notice it because it looks good, it smells good, it feels good. So I think it's not a matter of getting more compliments for what we've done in the building, it's that we get less complaints for what we have in the building.
What you'll notice is Columbia Public Schools, through the efforts of the custodial staff and also administration, understanding and using the education and the information, has been able to impact, as we showed on the first slide, 1/3 of the community's population. And what you don't recognize a lot of times in a school district is that you have a tremendous impact on that population outside of just the students that use the building every day. There's all the visitors for all the games and your activities, your clubs, people like myself that come in and use the buildings. And as you are already aware, we're using these buildings almost 24/7, 365 nowadays. And I think that you understand that there is a tremendous amount of crowding that is happening. The impacts from what we breathe are becoming more and more apparent. And the efforts of the school district doing what they're doing is now being able to reach a level to where people are taking notice and recognizing that not only locally are we having an impact, but as you can see now with what Columbia Schools has done, now Mike and his staff are known nationwide. And in a little while, when we get to the end of this, we'll show you how much. What I'd like to do is show you that Mike has attained the manager status with our program. And what this does is this gives him an ability to recognize leadership and success, which is what they've done there. If you go to their website now, there is a page simply dedicated to green, and it tells visitors, the constituents in the community, about what they're doing, all the way down to recycling and everything. Prior to this effort 4 years ago, that was not existent on their website. So it is impactful, and as you heard, it has not impacted their budget in a negative way. I think you'll see further as the next panelist comes up, she has attained the executive certification through our program, which is the next step in this. And Dottie Parr is with New Franklin Schools. We were proud to this last fall present them with the first Green Clean Schools Award in the nation. And they're a very local school. I'm not even sure exactly how many students, Dottie? 400 students. So you can see our panelists all the way from 17,000 to 400. Everybody is impacted by these programs. I'll let Dottie tell you how they've done it.
Good afternoon. As you said, my name is Dottie Parr. I'm the lead custodian there at New Franklin Schools in New Franklin, Missouri. I've been there for 13 years, and in this profession, truthfully, that's just kind of a drop in the bucket, but for someone as a female, that is a very long time. When I first came to New Franklin, cleaning was the same as it was 30 years ago. We hadn't changed it. You came in as a custodian, they handed you some keys, that was your education. That was it. I was kind of like, excuse me? And then I started listening to what everybody had to say about my buildings. We all just thought it was the way it was, that smell when you walk into a school building. We just called it, hey, it's the smell of an institution. This is an institution. And we accepted it, which didn't leave a lot of room for there to be a lot of communication between the custodial department, the superintendent, the principal, and least of all, the school board, because that's just the way it was going to be. We use chemicals stink, smell stayed in the air. Life moves on. But as a custodial department, we started thinking about that. We said, why? Why does life have to move on the fact that our buildings smell like bleach? I can't breathe. Bleach upsets me. So we started looking at different chemicals to try to figure out a better way to clean. And we found out very quickly chemicals were not the answer. Education was the answer. more people come into our buildings every day, and they expect a certain thing. They expect not to see trash on the floor. They expect not to see dust bunnies in the corners. I like to call them dust monsters because they just look hideous. When they come in and they're at a game or they're at a play and they can't breathe, they're having an asthmatic attack. They go home that night, they're more tired than they were when they went to our school. They sit around as constituents and they talk about that, and the problem is they don't talk knowing what caused it. All they know is that they went to New Franklin schools, to the ball game, and when they came out, they had a hard time breathing. But my question to you is, they don't know the custodial staff per se, but they know who the superintendent is, and they know who the school board is. Now, how does that perceive us as a district when somebody comes to our building and can't use it properly because they can't enjoy the atmosphere in which they're in? So the key is education and communication. As we communicate with our community, and we have educated our custodians, then we can let those people use our building with a more pleasant atmosphere. A positive way to communicate with your building and your community is to set up a drop-off service for recycling goods. We set up a drop-off service for the entire district, entire town. And that is one of the best ways that I've been able to communicate with the different members of the community about how they can have an impact on their school, because let's face it, they pay the taxes, and if you ask them, they own that place. It's definitely not us that work there every day. That's all right, because they do. They own an investment in that school. But by having them recycle, not only do they have an investment now in that school, but they have a positive effect on their own environment at home. And together with those two things, it brings up lots of communication as they're dropping off their recycled goods. As I've said, the key to green is education. But it's not just the only step, but just the first step. You also have to communicate. But when you communicate, the one thing that I have to be careful when I go to my superintendent and talk to him is I have to remember that I'm not the only thing on his mind. Cleaning is basically the biggest thing on my mind, cleaning for the health of those people around me. But he has a lot on his mind. So I have to be open-minded enough to know that I've got about 2 minutes to get my point across. But he has to be open-minded enough to understand that what I'm saying is very important to both of us. The top reason for communication is to make sure that the environment is safe for everybody. My supervisor, Wayne, had a few words to say, and I'll let Dave take care of that.
Our process started 8 years ago, and it is a process, and it continues to evolve every day. Part of the process is educating our teachers, our faculty, the rest of the faculty, the administration, the board members, and it's not always easy. And it's not always easy for us to see how we've changed, but it is really important once you see the effects that has taken over our school. You have to remember that teachers change, memories grow short, and sometimes they don't remember how we used to clean. But as a staff, we do remember, and it has made everything a lot easier to do. Our staff has learned is to be open-minded on how we impact other people's environment. And what I mean by other people's environment is the space that they stand in right now. the school, the space that they sit in when they sit at their desk. And that can be a chemical smell, that can be dust. Green cleaning has not increased our budget any. In fact, we've found ways in which we could decrease our budget, and it's all in how we handle things. It's how we handle the different processes. We've saved on chemicals, we've saved on wax, and yet we still have the shiny floors, the clean floors. I would say that green cleaning is going to save you money. It probably won't save you a whole lot of time, but it's going to save you money.
When our partnership with GCI, the Green Clean Institute, comes into play is through the education process. When we started, we weren't educated, and that's because we didn't know where to go. They showed us the process. They referred us to different chemical companies to talk to and showed us what to look for in a chemical to make sure that it was truly a green chemical and not just a chemical saying, hey, I am good for the environment, and really, they weren't that much better than anybody else. The education process is a long process, and it's forever changing. It changes daily. Just today, I found several different things today that I didn't know 2 weeks ago. But the communication line has to stay open, and the process has to be gone through slowly. It's not going to happen overnight. Schools didn't prop up overnight. The custodial business didn't start last night. It started 50 years ago. It's going to take us a while to get through this. We've been working on this program for over 8 years, and we're not where we want to be yet, but we're getting closer. Right now, I want you to listen to some comments that one of our teachers has from New Franklin.
I've been here at New Franklin for 20 years, and over those 20 years, a lot of cleaning has gone on in our building, and lots of chemicals were used, and some we couldn't use around students. They're always very smelly, sometimes a little caustic to the skin, and so we always had to be careful where those chemicals were. We couldn't ever allow students to use the chemicals, and now the chemicals that we use aren't safe for the students to use. There aren't any smells that go with them. They're very safe. Nobody ever talks about irritation on the skin. It's clear.
As you can tell, she's a teacher, not a custodian, because the custodian would have gone on for 20 minutes. I'm almost done. It's not just the superintendents and the school board that we have to communicate, it's with our principals and our teachers. We have an integrated pest management program where we've basically eliminated all the harsh chemicals to kill the little creepy crawlies running around. The biggest way we did that is I went to the principals and I said, we have a cafeteria. Let's eat in the cafeteria. Let's not eat in the classrooms. Let's not eat in the hallways. Let's not throw the trash everywhere. Let's keep it one central section so we can get it out of here. Because if we get the trash out, the bugs are going to leave with the trash. They're not going to want to be in here because we're not feeding them. And after much talking with the principals, they agreed with me, and we have limited our lunch meetings that we have as the superintendents know that those happen on a daily, weekly basis to a central area so that we don't have to go around and we don't have to pick up 25 lunch trash bags in classrooms or put up with the creepy crawlies running up and down the hallways. But most of all, we don't have to use the chemicals that kill the bugs, because folks, if it's killing the bug, what's it doing to you? Think about it. It's going to get you eventually. I hear some laughter. Is that a good thing? We can't use the same process we used 50 years ago. We can't communicate the same way we did 50 years ago. We have to not only communicate with everybody, superintendents, principals, school board members. You guys think you're important yet? But we also have to communicate with the number one important thing in our schools, our student body. They are the key to helping us keep our schools clean and healthy. Let's face it, those kids can make us or they can break us. And I'd rather be made than broke. In closing, I would like to have an excerpt from Mr. Dorson, our high school principal.
I'm Benji Dorson. I'm the 612 principal here at New Franklin High School in New Franklin, Missouri, and I've been here for 10 years total as a teacher, but 3 years here as principal. I've seen a notable difference in our students and their awareness of their health since we've gone to a green cleaning type system. Me personally, I have severe allergies, and I've noticed over the last few years not being affected by those as much. I think just making our kids aware of the green cleaning system has made them more aware in their lives about things that they're exposed to on a daily basis. In the past, you had issues with mold and different smells in the school and things, and I think the system we're using currently has taken that all out of the equation, and so you don't have that issue in the classroom where kids are being distracted by whether they're having some kind of allergic reaction or they're bothered by some kind of chemical smell or things of that nature. I think there's more focus on learning. People that have grown up in the system using more dangerous type chemicals, I think that the initial transition to a green cleaning system is you think that these chemicals aren't going to work as good as the other chemicals, and having moved to a green cleaning system, you don't have to worry about what you're putting on the countertop or what you're cleaning with, because you know that's going to be safe for those kids to use, and they do work just as good as the other chemicals that are more dangerous for kids, and now we've taken that out of the equation here at school.
Tricked you, I'm still talking. No, but truthfully, in real closing, green cleaning isn't just for your schools, to me. Green cleaning to me is about my health, about my family. Secondarily, it's about your schools, your health, your kids' health, your neighbor's health, and anybody else in the community that uses the building. If you don't remember anything else about today, about what I've talked about, just remember, communicate with your custodial staff. Ask them what's going on. Think through the process. Be open-minded. All things can be solved with open-minded communication. Thank you.
So how am I supposed to follow that?
Sit down.
Okay, yeah, there's my heckler. I wondered when he's going to come out. One of the things I wanted to show you here is that you notice the National Association of State Boards of Education. You can go to the new booklet that they've just put out. It just came out this week. They have recognized 3 different case studies. And if you notice, the first one on their case studies is the state of Missouri and the green cleaning program from DESE, titled the Green Cleaning Guidelines and Specifications for Schools. As you heard Mike talk about it, they have used this, and all 3 of these panelists have been using the DESE program that was put in place in 2009 as their roadmap to what they're doing. And as a result of that, our state is first on that list of case studies. And it's through the efforts of individuals like these here that is making this happen. In order to do that, the Green Clean Institute has set up a new website. It's called the 180 Assessment. This is available for any school district, any business of any sort, to be able to go through and self-audit their own program. The cost for this is about the cost of a case of toilet paper. But if you go through a sponsor, you might be able to get it free. In any event, what it does is it helps you go through, and through this check sheet, it will help you to look at different items that you might find that you're already doing, ones that you might want to, and as you work with your green cleaning team and have the communication that Dottie talked about, you would be able to get points awarded. At the end of the year, the Institute is going to recognize 10 top point getters in the nation and then reward them for their efforts. When I was on the committee in 2009 and developed the law, my thing was it's a voluntary law. What gives the people the impetus to go and do this? And so what I've done is I've come up with a way to reward you for doing something that you should be doing already, but actually this is something that, as Mike has seen, puts you on the front for the right reasons. We'd like to thank you for your time today, and if you'd like to ask any questions, we'd be sure to help you tell you what we've done to impact people in a positive way and reduce the impacts, because it's hard for me to breathe.